Wise boy me.
Welcome back, everybody, to a new live edition of the Wise Men Say podcast. Ty Fisher alongside Joe, Lucas, Derik, Abbott. Fellas, 3 points in the bag. How are we feeling?
I still have goosebumps.
Nailed it. That was good. Good synergy right there.
I have to turn my phone on.
It was about as good as you could ask for, in my opinion. I mean, outside of a clean sheet, it was pretty awesome, and I was like very pleasantly surprised. Not that my expectations were low, but you know.
Oh yeah. What'd you guys think of the pregame, like the whole narration thing? I thought that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on at first. I will admit, I was like, "What is happening here?" But when you watched it on the jumbotron, it was a little bit better.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Although, hearing up in the press box, it sounded all muffled.
Did it?
Yeah. So I mean, I got it on recorded, but it just, you couldn't make the words out clear.
Yeah.
I wonder if they will do that every game, or not every game, not every home game, but like when they wear the kits, maybe.
I hope so.
Have like a goosebump intro.
Yeah, like a narration deal.
Well, I mean, it's the road kit.
That'd be cool. Well, no, it's not even. It's their secondary kit. It's not a road kit.
Okay.
It's their secondary kit. Because we wore yellow plenty of times on the road last year.
Yeah, didn't we start wearing that when we got the black one? It was the new one, but it was our secondary kit.
The velocity kit.
We started wearing that like crazy at home.
Yeah,
I kind of forgot that we wore the yellow one at home until like towards the end of the season they started wearing it. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This is actually our home kit.
Yeah.
Inner Charlie Brown.
Yeah, hey, they ran with Charlie Brown just like they're running with Goosebumps this year. Hey, I'm here for it. Marketing department is absolutely top notch.
I saw somebody point out that Apple owns the rights to both of those properties too, which makes it very interesting that like maybe Apple would get involved and promote it even more because of those things.
That who owns what?
Like Apple has the streaming rights for like Goosebumps stuff and
Disney.
Is that wrong?
I think
Disney
does. Yeah.
Never mind. That is totally wrong.
Apple does have something though.
Peanuts, maybe?
I think it is Peanuts.
Okay.
I think it is.
Wherever I heard that, I was slightly wrong, but
yeah.
Wait, you're right because the new Goosebumps season thing is on Disney Plus. All right. Disregard everything I just said. All wrong.
Also, really quick, I'll do it at the end. Guys, I don't know if you guys saw my tweet earlier. Our numbers are growing. So we want to thank y'all for the constant support on the channel, the podcast, interactions on social media. You guys rock. If I'm not mistaken, when I looked before I got on, we were at 77 subscribers. Yes. So we are 23 away from 100. So if you are watching and you have not already on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications. That way you guys know whenever we go live, post new content, etc. Special guest Thomas, I can't remember if it's Pinzone or Pinzone. It's one of the two. He will be joining us here in about half an hour to preview New England Columbus. But for now, boys, we are going to talk about the 3 points that we got against the Chicago Fire. I was not impressed with the first 15 minutes. Well, I was, but I wasn't. I will say that. But Jesus Christ, the Chicago's looking kind of scary a little bit. The way Greg has them playing. Brian Gutierrez gets the party started, and I think it's the 12th minute of play.
13th.
What's that?
13th.
12, 13, tomato. He got it started early.
That was a gut punch.
Yeah.
That's the air out of the stadium a little bit.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Derik, you were
very low.
Derik, you were in the stands. Just what were you feeling after that goal?
Oh my gosh, it was brutal. I think mainly just because it seemed pretty early. I don't know, most of the games it doesn't feel like a goal is scored too early. So anytime it happens in general, it's always a bit of a shock. But I think going into it, most people would have, even the casual fans knows that we should be a better team than Chicago too. So for them to immediately go in there, it was oh no, here we go. I think actually it was a lot of here we go thoughts around me and a little bit of grumbling because the whole off season or the past 2-3 weeks has been about how he's gone too. Cucho and Christian Ramirez are gone. And so it was just here's, all of your worst nightmares are coming true all at once when that happened.
Yeah, it was pretty deafening up in the press box after that first goal. It just was, you could hear a pin drop, and I'm just and I'm looking at my computer. I'm just here we, to me, it felt like I was back at the 2023 Eastern Conference Final when Cincy went up 2-0 in the first half, and I'm at halftime I don't even want to get on my laptop, and it's just I had to remind myself who the coach is, right? And it's just okay, once I reminded myself who the coach was, it's cool because there's been plenty of times that the team got behind, in the first half. And what has the outcome been? It's either been a draw or a win. Sometimes maybe a loss here or there, but it's mostly been, a come from behind win or a come from behind draw. And so it's just okay, now that's out of the system. Now, how do you fight back? You just got smacked in your mouth. What are you going to do?
Oh man, I don't know. I think I was pretty much what Derik said. Here we go, because we've hardly ever conceded that early, right? So it's
not very often.
Well, all right, this is not what I was expecting, but it's the game of soccer, right? It has its emotions. It has its high and lows, and that was a low. But then, as Ghost said, Rossi has his handled. Get to that later because he did have it handled. Jason Russell Rowe gets leveled. Gets us level, I should say. I should say gets level because he didn't get hit. Gets us leveled. 1-1. And there was a bit of controversy on that because a lot of people are saying on Twitter that there was a foul on Zawadzki after that goal, after the goal kick was taken, when he slid into that Chicago player, and essentially Chicago turned the ball over for Jason. Jason puts it in the back of the net. A lot of people are saying there was a foul on that play by Sean Zawadzki. I see. I don't think so, but that could be the bias in me coming out. I don't know what if you saw anything, Derik or Jerald, but I don't think there was a foul there.
So I didn't see there wasn't enough for to call a foul. And sitting back, how I write my articles. The next day, I rewatch the game, and as the game's playing, I type my article, right? Well, the broadcasters even said there was not enough there was some contact, but it was not enough to call a foul. And I really think that Zawadzki got some of the ball, also in the process. So, we've seen to where, fouls weren't called if, I'm saying, the other player touches the ball in the process of making that contact. You know what I'm saying? We've seen fouls not get called, and we've seen fouls get called. It just happens that some of the ones that get called are against us. But there wasn't enough to call a foul right there. And quite frankly, that was poor judgment by Chris Brady. I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat from some of the Fire fans that follow me.
Oh,
but
good, we got it up here. I was about to say
right there.
Yeah, there wasn't enough for contact. Not enough contact to call for a foul.
And I feel like, at the time, I don't know. I feel like the people that I go to the games with were fairly level-headed overall when it comes, which is, we're in the Nordex. So, like, of course, we're going to be biased for our team and at times go a little crazy. But I feel like we're relatively pretty level-headed about, like, things like that. Like, if we get away with one, we're usually like, we probably got away with one there. I don't think anyone really even noticed it at first. But, like, watching that, I feel like when it's inside of the box, at least for MLS, in my opinion, they will find any reason to throw a penalty or a card or a penalty or go and look at it. So for them to not do it, I think is they probably just felt like there wasn't enough there, which, looking at that review, I would tend to agree with that. I think I'd be mad if they would have called it based upon what I'm seeing. I wouldn't have been like, that's probably a pretty good call. I'd have been like, okay, like how tiki-tack are they going to are they going to get with this?
Yeah, and that's one thing that fans cannot win with MLS and pro, right? Because it's like if something doesn't get called your way and then it gets called against you, it's like, well,
where's the consistency?
Yeah, so it's like, and then the same thing happened, which we will get on later, because essentially the same thing happened on Rossi's second goal. But this time it was on Amundsen. But then we fast forward just literally a minute later, and this is just clever buildup by Chicago as we watch Jason Russell open his 2025 account again. This is just great buildup by Chicago. Good pressure by Russell Rowe. And then that is going to be the most dangerous duo in MLS, I think, is Brian Gutierrez and Jonathan Bamba. Because that little pass right there is just amazing.
That was really good.
If everybody could get on the same page, it's going to be the team, those two can only, take the team so far.
Yeah.
Right. But that chemistry and Bamba, with him being able to take the team wide, and he got past Steven, not going to sugarcoat it. He beat Steven multiple times.
Yeah.
But if you go back and you watch it, right? If you go back and watch it, shortly after that, Gutierrez's second goal.
That's a great pass right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That heading pass was incredible.
Nazi calls Steven over. Right? And you sort of see a little switch in Nazi's tactical before halftime. Because I know you asked him, post game, Ty, what he changed at halftime, right? Well,
to
you
to
saw it.
contain this too. Yeah.
Yeah, so you saw it after, that second goal. He basically gave Morera the green light to go forward,
Yeah.
right? And in that process, he had Dylan drop back. And it's just a small tweak that goes unnoticed if you're not looking for it, right? But you see that tweak, and then you see what happens when Steven goes forward. All the chaos that ensued. You know what I'm saying? So tweaks like that before halftime is what makes Nancy such a great coach, a great chess player.
Yeah, and they don't have time to adjust to it. If you could do it before halftime, and at least even if just that small period of time, gives yourself such a bigger advantage to potentially score because they don't have time to adjust to it. And, by halftime, he could make a totally different move. And they're prepared coming out thinking that it's going to be the one before. So just staying a step ahead, I think is great. And I don't remember if he did a lot of that last year or not, to be honest. But I mean, I love the idea of making those adjustments very quickly with, 15 minutes to go before the half, as opposed to waiting till half to do those.
Well, he's done some, last year he did some, but it was like, it was a dead ball, right? It was on, an injured player, or it was, a VAR check, whatever the case, or, after a goal was, conceded, something like that. Like he would make tweaks and then go, what I'm saying? And then, have it play out on the field before halftime. But to do do some of these tweaks like he did on Saturday is just remarkable. It shows him as a coach, how brilliant his mind is. And then, the players that we have and some of the stuff that they've been working on in training camp of being able to move all at once instead of individual lines moving, and the defense knowing what the back line knowing what the front line's doing, knowing what the midfield's doing, and midfield knows what back and front knows what back and midfield is doing. You know what I'm saying? So they're all on one page.
As we have here, 37th minute, it's own goal or Owen goal getting on the board for the Columbus Crew. 2-2, 37th minute. Carlos Terran, an absolute howler of a thing. It took one deflection off Jack Elliott, and then another one off Carlos Terran. So 2-2, and then it's just all Columbus from here. Now, I think there was a foul on Jason Russell Rowe there because I don't know if you watch right around here.
Shove.
There's a little push right there from his left hand. I don't know, but again, that's just me.
But
Steven
who was it
Morera
that shot that ball though?
So it was technically a cross. That deflection by Jack Elliott right here totally changed directions. And I think it just caught Terran off guard because of this guy right here also.
For no particular reason at all. Either one of those Crew players who were potentially going to score would have been a lot better than an own goal. But I hated to learn that was an own goal after the fact.
Yeah.
That was I think that was on the far side, right? Yeah. Shot on the far end. Okay. So I couldn't see it very well. And I was like, all right. And then I saw his own goal. I was like, okay, I'm still happy, but maybe just slightly not as happy.
A goal is a goal, no matter how pretty.
100%.
And that was Steven causing chaos. He got the green light from Nancy, and you just see, like
you said,
to hell with it. We about to start this BS. Fuck it, let's go.
Before halftime, it's Shambo to Farsi. I thought for sure he's about to lose it right here. And then Morera and Rossi with the rising cutter.
Oh, Rossi was in his bag.
I have never seen Diego Rossi jump that high ever, even when
I
he was
asked
with
about it.
LAFC. Yeah, I know. I've never seen him jump that high ever, even when he was with LAFC. So I don't know if you guys caught this or not. The celebration that he did
Yeah,
after
that was
the
good. I like that.
the
Original
OG crew
crest.
logo. I don't know if you saw that, Derek.
Yeah, he was the he was the only
That
one.
yeah, that's a gut punch, honestly,
Oh
because
yeah,
that kind of sucked. Because you if you see that, you want to see Cucho, you want to see Christian by his side, getting that picture taken. But last goal of the night came about 6 minutes after halftime. This was also another foul that people were talking about.
Oh, this is the one you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, on Amundsen right there. But I'm like, that's a soccer play.
That seemed like
Yep.
he went down late too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I heard that he got in trouble for embellishment a little bit. Just because I get that maybe Amundsen's leg is his foot or something is slightly ahead of where he's at, but I don't know. It looks like a delayed fall. Obviously, we're not able to zoom in to see it further, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, how many times do we see that not called throughout a game in the first place? If they were to
Exactly.
call it the entire game and then miss it, I would 100% be like, yeah, they totally missed that. There should have been one. But they weren't calling that any other time. So
Yeah.
I don't see how anyone online or where Chicago fans can be that upset about it.
Now, there is one thing that was kind of why was this and not this? So Brian Gutierrez goes in on Yevon Shaberko, I think midway through the second half. Ends up taking out Shaberko, far side, left touch line in the defensive third. Referee Fotis Pazakos goes to the monitor for a review for violent conduct. Final call on the field is yellow card. I conferred with Jerald, with other media members. I would like a further explanation on that, honestly, because the replay showed multiple times. It looked like Gutierrez went in with his elbow to the back of the head on Shaberko. Got the response from Pro, or from the match official, not from Pro directly, but from the match official. So the submitted question was, what was the consensus to show Chicago Fire number 17 a yellow card and not a red following the violent conduct review? The response was, it was determined that Chicago Fire number 17 utilized his forearm as a tool, and the majority of the force went into the upper back of the opponent, resulting in a yellow card for unsporting behavior. It makes sense because then once I saw the replay slowed down, it did see the forearm kind of go into the upper left part of Shaberko's back. But it did look like there was also still a follow through with the elbow. That's just me. So
one of the broadcasters pointed it out, right? So before that, Gutierrez was trying to foul Shaberko before they got to that touch line, right? And so then when they slowed it down on the Apple broadcast, you see that forearm go into the left shoulder center of the shoulder, but then you see that arm extend with that elbow towards the head, right? So I know you and me were going back and forth about it, and then when you got a response from Pro, it did make sense, and then when I watched it on Sunday, writing the article, it was like, hold on, no, that doesn't make sense now, because you see the follow through with that elbow as he extended. And, so.
I didn't think there was any penalty at first when I saw the like close-up replay. And then like the more I saw it, I was like, okay. I guess. It's hard to tell. It honestly feels like it's hard to tell anymore for some of these, like what constitutes what a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I try not to like think too hard about it, especially if it's not against our team, just admittedly. But then didn't news come out today or yesterday that he is suspended for a game now because of it?
Today. So Alex
So I'm like, wait,
Calabrese.
what?
Yeah, Alex Calabrese. He is covered Chicago Fire for Men in Red. The MLS disciplinary committee essentially suspended Brian Gutierrez 1 game for violent conduct. Which I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Hey,
Yeah, all right.
I mean, the game's already over, so it
didn't really impact the game at the end of the day.
Yeah, we got 3 points.
Right.
That's all that matters.
I mean, but to me on that though, it said that the VAR said that they saw the violent conduct, but didn't understand why the official, made the final call for, you know what I'm saying?
So with that, the final decision is in the hands of the match official on the field. So he can take the recommendation from VAR or stick with his original call on the field, which was the yellow. I don't even think he showed a card in the first place. Which then resulted in the yellow card, which essentially was his decision on the field.
So this is hypothetical, obviously, but so you're telling me technically there could be something that like we see replays of VAR on TV in the stadium, wherever something seems so obvious, and maybe I see this probably a little bit more in European, but like the VAR can be like, hey, that is a penalty, that should be a red card, XYZ. But the referee can be like, nah, I don't think it is, and then just say nope anyways, even though there's all this evidence.
Yes, so I think it has to. I think in terms of it has to. A lot of it comes down to what does the referee see in the buildup, right? Because a lot of times, as far from what I've seen, VAR will focus on the contact, right? But I don't know. Have you watched any of the inside video review that Pro puts out on match days from like the week before, Derik?
So, honestly,
so Pro puts out videos called Inside Video Review, and they go through a lot of controversial decisions. The discussion that they have is, all right, we'll see we'll look at the point of contact, but we're also looking at the attacking phase of play, the APP, the buildup that starts whenever the foul occurs. Couple of things they look for is there offside? Is there another foul that's being committed? Is there a clear and obvious error that could possibly negate a call on the field? They're looking through all of these things. Sometimes the match official will be back it up, play it 25%, and then they're slowing it down. That's when they're slowing it down and going frame by frame, et cetera, et cetera. But in the end, it's ultimately up to the match official. If he wanted to say, yeah, I see the elbow, I'll go with you guys. I'll go with you guys' recommendation, red card, violent conduct. If he feels an opposite way, then he can say, I understand what you're saying, but for me, the contact is more so in the back of the player, and it doesn't rise to the level of violent conduct. If we're taking the Gutierrez Chaburko instance into this consideration, so it's a lot of it is recommendations from VAR, but in the end, the match official has the final say. So
he still got a red card. So
yeah, that's good to know. I didn't even know that's how that like relationship ended up working on it. So
yeah,
that was great, like to learn all that.
Yeah,
it still seems kind of wild. It's just a tad bit subjective between the two parties, but what they all do it. So what do I know? But yeah, I got the red card. So we're not Chicago fans, so I don't know. I'm not going to complain about it.
Definitely.
That's going to be killer for them with their home opener.
Who are they playing again?
Oh, I don't know.
DC.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Moving on really quick before we get into the matchup against the New England Revolution. Fellas, we have a rematch with LAFC, CONCACAF Champions Cup. Just really quick thoughts so we can get Thomas in here.
I'm sort of scared.
Yeah, it's
Honestly.
someone pointed out we got to go to New
LA
England
first.
and then New England and then fly to LA, probably straight there. Like, that's a little worrisome. I don't know. Playing LA in general maybe doesn't worry me as much. Maybe we'll see after the New England game, but that the flying back and forth, that in particular worries me more than anything. It's just that traveling.
March is a brutal month. So 7 games this whole month.
Yeah. And it's away at New England, away at LA, home at Houston, home against LA, away at New York City, home at DC, I think.
San Diego,
away at San Diego. Away at San Diego, then home at
DC.
Oh, wow. We get San Diego. Holy cow.
Yeah.
They look good, too.
Yeah. But, I mean, another matchup against LAFC, another tournament for us to beat them in.
I think whatever they think they probably need to do against us, Nancy's already thinking 5 steps ahead because we're so used to them. And now we're going to have a totally different team dynamic than what they're expecting. Whereas I feel like they interchange players. They typically kind of have the same thing going on. So that is, I think that's encouraging. And I could see us either tying or potentially winning out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the last 4 matchups for LAFC versus Columbus, they've only scored 2 goals in the last.
We were there one time, right? Or we were there last time, right?
We beat them. It was like 5-0. 5-1.
Yes, that was a late game last year. I remember watching that. That was a good time. That was fun.
So 5-1 there, 2-1 in MLS Cup, and was it 3-1 in Leagues Cup last year? So last 3 matchups, they've only scored
3
goals.
And we've scored 5, 7, 10, I think.
Yeah.
5.
Well, that's great.
5, 7, 10. 10, 3. We will touch back on this, maybe a little bit more on the Chicago match here in a bit. For now, we bring in Thomas. Please remind me of your last name.
Well, most people say Pinzone, which is good. Try and keep it simple. It's just 2 simple words put together. Some people call it Pinzone. If you really want to,
that's what I said.
Yeah, it's fun to say it that way, but if you want to get it spelled correctly, just go with Pinzone. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you don't call me Tommy, we'll be all right.
Now, Tommy is Atlanta weirdo guy who lives in Cleveland but supports Atlanta United. So, how you been, buddy? It's been some time.
Yeah, hanging in there. There's luckily there's other things to watch in New England besides the Revolution. So we have a halfway decent basketball team. So that's been keeping our attention over the winter. And some people were really excited in the off season about there was a lot of positive vibes and the preseason was going really well and the guys are all getting along and they're holding hands on the beach and blah 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 blah. Some people really got into that sort of thing, but I didn't. I knew better. I knew that there was 29 other teams also having the greatest preseason that they've ever had, and reality has kind of started to set back in. We played Nashville last Saturday night. I had to watch you all play first. Again, I need the crew to remind me that other things are possible, and that there might be a bright future for us ahead. But it's murky once again.
Yeah. And you talk about that start against Nashville. I believe it was a 0-0 draw.
Oh yeah,
if
it's a
I'm not
thriller.
mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, woo, yeah. I couldn't go to sleep after.
Just touch on that. How did that become a thrill factor for? Obviously, sarcasm here, but
What?
a throw factor for everybody.
One of our regular listeners, he needed a recap of the second half because he said he fell asleep on his couch.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I've been trying to cut back on my drinking this year. So actually, Caleb Porter is inadvertently helping me because he puts us all to sleep, and then if we're asleep, then we drink less. So it's I really think it's kind of a weight loss program for all of us here in New England. But now Caleb has claimed that he was very happy with the he was happy enough with the result. It's a draw on the road. The Revolution actually did not draw a single game on the road last year, if you can believe that such a thing is possible. 4 wins, 13 losses, not a single draw. Yeah.
Jesus.
So we're already one step ahead of where we were last year. We got a draw on the first game. So that in all honesty, the defense looked better. It didn't look like panic stations every time they got into our half. We didn't have like as many players scrambling back. Like there was more semblance of we can actually defend as a unit and stay organized, and we're not going to leak as many goals as last year. So that was, in all honesty, a positive aspect. But the problem is the balance now seems to have shifted very heavily to defending. We need to defend because we can't give up as many goals as we gave up last year. The attacking play was nowhere. One shot on target, and it was meekly hit by Leo Campagna, who's is if he doesn't have a good season, it's over. So yeah, one shot on target, even in an away game, first game of the season. I can understand that to a certain extent, but on the other hand, I watched like 3 or 4 other games from the weekend, and there was goals flying in all over the place, right? I mean, if you guys had a 4-2 result, Philly put 4 goals past Orlando on the road. Toronto, TFC, everyone picked them to finish last. They scored 2 goals. Like there's goals flying in all over the place, and the Revs had 1 shot on target. So the defense looked better. Defense looked better. The offense, I think we're kind of stuck where we were last year.
I mean, that's a typical Porter system. Did he run the 4-3-3 again against Nashville, or did he come out with a new look?
Oh, new look. Oh yeah. So
4-2-3-1.
No.
Oh God.
Now he did explain to us, because he thinks that we don't watch soccer, that apparently some teams play in 2 different formations. They have like a defensive formation and an attacking formation, which we really appreciated him telling us this. Like it's a recent discovery that we all also read Inverting the Pyramid, right? So like we know. So they're defending in a 4-4-2, which is interesting. It was somewhat effective, but they were basically just putting everyone behind. I mean, Kylis Hill was tracking back, Campagna was tracking back, which is great to see. But at the same time, those are the guys that you need to get the ball to when you win the ball back. But the new thing that he's come up with this year is it's kind of like it's like a lopsided 3-5-2. So he has the left back, which is supposed to be Will Sands, but he's injured again. He's supposed to push high up on the left to allow the left mid, Ignatius Ganago, to kind of tuck in as like a second striker alongside Campagna. And then the right back kind of stays tucked in. So it's like a 3-5-2, which, okay, sure. It's different than last year. So maybe that would help open some things up. But it's the same, very slow, very methodical movement of the ball. There's hardly more than one player moving at a time. And it just doesn't go anywhere. It just stalls out, in their own half. And, they really struggle to get things going until inevitably Kylis drops deep, gets on the ball, gets frustrated, and, and he tries to play something in behind. And, that was pretty much it. So he's kind of moved things around a little bit, but about 15 minutes into the first half, it was just like, oh no, we've We've seen this already. It doesn't work. And you all saw it in 2021 and 2022. You know, you're a relatively solid defensive team for 2 years. But, you know, you all scored 46 goals 2 years in a row. And that was 10th in the Eastern Conference and 7th in the Eastern Conference. So we're kind of setting ourselves up for a very boring season where the Revs don't give up a lot of goals, but they don't score a lot of goals either. So this is what we have to live with.
You're
So
getting the
typical
full
Porter.
experience. Yeah, right. You're getting the full Porter
Yeah.
experience already.
I know.
Do you? Go ahead, Jerald.
Real quick, Derek. I will say though, with the 3-5-2, Porter did have some success against certain teams with that 3-5-2. So
He ran a 3-5-2?
he ran a 3-5-2 like for 3 games, and then he went back to his 4-3-3 and his 4-2-3-1.
Oh yeah, he'll give up on it for sure. He'll give up on it. Yeah, when things go. Matt Doyle said MLS. He writes for MLSsoccer.com. He said in preseason, he's like, yeah, it's great that Porter's talking about all this playing off in the back stuff, but the reality is that as soon as a Caleb Porter team struggles, he just abandons whatever he's doing and he just runs away from it. So yeah, if this doesn't work out for a couple more weeks, he'll just go back to the 4-2-3-1. Yeah.
He might not make that summer transfer window.
Mm.
That's a hot take.
Yeah, I was thinking with the like kind of resurgence a little bit of some of the teams really going after these more or less unheard of coaches. Like these aren't the big names anymore that you see recycled over a lot, at least in a lot of cases. Still a few of them out there, but obviously it kind of sounds like it. You know, the Porter's coming into this season already on the hot seat. It feels like you're growing very tired of him, maybe quicker than even we did. At least we won a championship out of it, which was nice. But I mean, that stay did not last very long. That welcome was worn quickly, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, this is the funny thing. So I was at the season ticket members, like preseason event or whatever, and when they brought him out, he got like a decent round of applause, and I was looking around like what do you why are we clapping? Like, who do you think this is? This is the same guy from last year, 14th place, right? Like the guy. It takes the blame for nothing, throws everyone under the bus. Like it's the same guy. They didn't get a new coach. Like why they're like, oh yeah, Caleb's coming out. Like, what? No, please stop clapping. Like what? It's incredible, absolutely incredible. So not everyone seems to have come around to the fact that we had a halfway decent team, and then we didn't have one at all. And the biggest change was the coach. So, they were Kurt Alpha, by the way, the GM, him and Caleb are very similar. They talk a big game, right? They made lots of changes. Last year they had good players, but now they have the right players. And Alpha's like, this guy's won 2 MLS Cups at his last 2 stops. And it's just inevitable that it's going to happen here. And he's saying this after a 14th place season. It's like, why don't we see if we make the playoffs first before you start rolling out it's just a matter of time before this guy makes it 3 out of 3. I mean, it's really difficult to understand. Like, it should be the situation where, yes, he is on the hot seat. And if we get to, the 8th or 9th game and it's looking like it looked last year after 8 or 9 games, then you've got to go. Because the one thing you can do in MLS is you can change the coach halfway through the year. Somebody comes in, does a couple things differently. You figure something out. You don't have to be great the whole season, right? You just have to be just good enough to squeak in, and get into 9th place, and anything can happen from there. So, yeah, he should be on the hot seat, but for some reason he doesn't seem to be there yet. It's I don't know.
That's such a good point too about the season, because I feel like, I don't remember with Porter, but Berhalter in particular, maybe Porter at the beginning, there were like downtrends in the middle of the summer, sometimes late summer, but then we would pick it up right before we'd make the playoffs, and sometimes you'd win a few games. So great point. This might be one of the only leagues, at least in America, where you can sack the coach and get a new one and actually still make a run and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta had an interim coach, right? They sold their 2 best players Right? They sold 2 of their DPs like at the beginning of the season, and they came in ninth. They won the playing game on the road, and then they knocked Inter Miami out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like you just have to get your foot in the door. But I don't know. The door is going to have to be left pretty wide open for us to get even like a little toe inside of the door before it gets slammed shut.
So I would assume you probably just answered my question. The realistic expectations for the season make the playoffs, correct?
Well, now, okay, so Porter did say that to him, this is going to be a successful season, and a successful season means playoffs. He is on record as having said that.
Did he wager his house?
I know, right? It's like
I forgot about that.
yeah. Like, did you buy here? Or are you renting in the seaport? Like, how long is your lease? Like, what is your, what is the situation? Because the reality is right now, if you look at it, he's now missed the playoffs 4 times in the last 5 years. So by his own measure of success, he's failed 80% of the time in the last 5 years. Like, so I don't see how he can make a case for staying for year 3 if they miss the playoffs again. I don't understand how that could be possible, except for this is a team that lacks ambition. Like the ownership, the president, like the president's a nice guy. He does a good job with selling tickets and all the off-field stuff. But the reality is if there's any team in MLS that would see a coach go from like 14th to 10th and give him a third season, it would be New England.
What's the contract? Do you know offhand? This is just random.
God, I don't know. I don't even want to know. I'm too scared to know.
Jesus. So now we shift to the matchup on Saturday, right? By the way, I just thought about this. Chicago Fire, who's their coach, Derik?
Berhalter.
Who else did Berhalter coach in MLS?
Us.
Yeah. Who came after Berhalter?
Yeah, Caleb Porter. There's
Yep.
circles.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I think I said this last year. We would take Berhalter. Okay, we would take.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, we'll take anyone. I don't care. Like,
I think Berhalter's good. Yeah, I think he would be good for a team.
Can't be worse.
Chicago or like, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So now shifting to the match on Saturday. I hate to bring this up. Last time we went to New England, what was that 5-1 win, 6-1, whatever.
Sounds about right.
So taking a draw against Nashville, you guys get a point, maybe a little bit of momentum to start the season. It's not a loss. What is it that New England has to do on Saturday to pull out a win against the Columbus Crew, who are coming off a 4-2 win against the Chicago Fire?
Like realistically,
Sure.
I will say this, right? Jonathan Bomba, right, for the Fire, he had a pretty good game on Saturday night. He had 2 assists in the first half, and he did a pretty good job of getting in that getting a pocket of space on the left side when Farsi pushed up. He was able to get on the ball. He was able to dribble, right? He was able to find Gutierrez essentially a couple times. Ganago he's not as good as Bamba. Bamba, by the way, looked fantastic. But he's a similar type player to Bamba. So I think if Ganago can get on the ball in those similar types of situations, early on the game, the one thing that the Crew do occasionally do is, you do leave some space to play into. So if they can get the ball to him a little early, try and get Campagna going, try and get Carlos Hill going, that might be an avenue to get a goal. I wouldn't go so far as to think that they can score multiple goals because there's no logical reason to think that. And they did, look, the Revs did a couple times last year score early against teams that were much better. They scored first in both games against Miami. Didn't go too well after that, but they do have an ability to come out, get off to a good start, and get an early goal. And then from there, it's just, the Crew's going to have an off night. they're going to have their mind on LAFC next week. Maybe Nancy rotates a couple of players. But even then, I mean, what are you going to rotate into Juan Jones? He's going to score on us again. Which, by the way, was a great moment, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed every single second of that. I laughed my ass off. My wife and I were like high-fiving each other. Oh, my God, it was great. Really, really happy for him. But that's it. Like,
he scored.
Y'all have to have an off night, because the thing about the Crew is, I watched, I can't remember how many games, multiple games last year, right, where the Crew go behind early, and it's like, okay, whatever, no problem. Like, we're not going to panic, nothing to worry about. Just keep playing our game, get the ball back, let's get going again, and they come from behind and they win. So even going ahead early, that would get the crowd into the game. That would get, that would be, be their first goal of the season. So that would be a positive start, but from there, I mean, what Porter tends to do is he really tries to shut things down too much defensively in the second half. And he just concedes possession. He just concedes the whole field to the other team. Sometimes you can get lucky against the Crew. Sometimes they maybe struggle a little bit to break down a team that's packing it in, but there's just too much quality, right? Like, even I know Cucho's gone, but you still got Diego Rossi. Russell Rowe looks like a pretty solid player. Like, you've got talent all over the place, even having lost, your best player just a couple weeks before the season starts. So it's going to take an early goal and an off night from Columbus, and maybe they can squeak out a draw.
A draw. Wow. I was asking for 3 points for New England.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could happen, right? It's in the realm of possibilities. Like, it could happen. But if you're trying to be realistic about it, I don't know. There's no way. I mean, the thing is, too, you play with 3 center backs, too, right? So that's going to be, Campania is going to, if they don't have more players pushing up earlier in the attack, which is a thing that Porter actually spoke out against this week. Porter actually said that the team at times needed to be more cautious in possession, which is mind-boggling considering that we had one shot on target, and he comes out on Tuesday, he's like, yeah, sometimes we just need to work the ball around a little bit more. It's like, no, you do actually at some point have to go towards the other team's goal in order to score. That is a requirement of scoring goals in this sport or any sport with a goal that the other team is defending. But he seems to think maybe we can just, like, if we go back and forth enough times, we can hypnotize them and they'll just go into like a trance, and then we can just, we just walk right in.
But what about the one time when it works, when you see like the 27 passes and then they show it all over ESPN and everything, and you're like, okay, but that looks 25 minutes to get to the goal.
Yeah. I mean, look, sometimes it does work. But the thing is that even high possession teams they're probing into spaces. They're trying to find a gap, right? They're trying to get a player centrally on the ball that can turn and face forward. The Revs don't do that. They just play it around. And when they, on a rare occasion, when they do bounce it into a center mid, 9 times out of 10, they just bounce it back out, right? So Brandon Bai will have the ball out on the right. He'll play it to Jackson Ewell, who's our new savior, by the way, if you can believe that. And then Ewell will just bounce it back out to one of the center backs. Okay, great. You just made 3 passes and nothing happened. Whereas like the Crew, sometimes the Crew, it takes a little while to get going, right? But you're probing, right? You're playing it into Nagley, you're playing it into the middle, right? Sometimes even Rossi will drop in. You're just looking for that one time you can get it to someone who can turn, right? You kick it out wide, and then all of a sudden, right, away you go. Revs don't do that. They never go.
I was actually shocked this year that, when I heard Campana, went to New England, because, we as Crew fans know what, Campana and Kremeski did, playing up against, playing for Inter Miami, what they did against us. And we hated seeing them getting subbed on late in games, because it's like, well, fuck, here we go, we might have a 2-1, 2-1 lead, and then enter, Kremeski or enter Campana, and it's like, do you park the bus to prevent them from, scoring? But they always find some way to, score against Columbus. But that's one thing you guys got. You got a Crew Slayer, in Campana. But the thing that interested me is how did it come about that Campana came to New England knowing Porter's style?
God, I mean, I don't know. All I can think of is he wants to play more, right? Like, if you think about it, he got a bit of a bad deal. Like, obviously, no one's going to complain about playing with Messi and Suarez, but if you're a center back playing with those guys, you can play with those guys and it doesn't take your playing time away. So I think Campani was just like, look, he said that he wants to try to get back to Europe. So I think he was just looking at it as, probably talking to his agent, just get me to a club where I'm going to start. I don't have to really worry about fighting for minutes. Like, I want to go somewhere that needs a goal scoring center forward. And if I can stay healthy to play 30 games, I'm going to play 30 games. I would think that would be the biggest appeal. Just get me somewhere where I can play. And then secondly, Carlos Hill is still someone that players in this league might want the opportunity to go and play with. So I would assume it's those two things, and then it's just whatever. I'll just deal with whatever this guy tells me to do, and I'll try and make it work. Like the other thing is just you don't really have much. Like, once you sign a contract in MLS, you don't have a lot of say in where you go. So if Inter Miami comes to him and says, "Hey, look, we've got this deal. You're going to go to New England," it's obviously not the it's not the fun time you're having down here, but you're going to play. Like, you're not really much of a position to say, nah, I'd rather go somewhere else. It's like, well, no, actually, these guys are giving us a lot of, MLS crypto. So you're just going to have to go and suck it up. So I don't think he really was sold on Caleb Porter. I don't even think that's possible. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, what? Oh, God.
Hey, we'll take him.
Caleb Porter is absolutely the best reason to go to New England.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so it's probably just, look, I'll play a lot. He's not going to be able to drop me. But the problem now is that they've got a really good goal scorer, but you've got to feed this guy the ball.
Yeah,
right. I mean, he had one shot from inside the penalty area, and his other shot was just kind of like a speculative effort from 25 yards that got blocked. Like, you can't ask him to score. I mean, they need him to score like at least 15 goals this year, because the goals aren't going to be coming from many other places. And Carlos needs help. He can't do it all himself. He's 32 years old. His days, he's not going to be able to play. I question whether he'll be able to play 2,000 minutes in a season ever again. So if Campania doesn't get firing, and if they don't just get him the ball, I think it'd be more of a failure of the players around him than Campania. I mean, he can score. He's definitely a goal scorer. He just, they need to work a little bit harder to get him the ball.
I mean, you have a better chance going to Europe playing with Columbus than you do in New England, but hey, that's just me.
Yeah, I think the appeal is like, well, they've had some guys that that went over. It's like, okay, yeah, but like Georgia, two of them were goalkeepers, right? A goalkeeper on a bad team, hey, it's no problem. I want to go to Europe. If I have to stop 25 shots a game, and I've got a leaky defense playing in front of me, and I'm the hero, great. I'm going to get that move no matter what happens. But if you're a goal scorer, if you can't get the ball, if you can't get opportunities, these other guys, like, you guys are holding me back now. So in Miami, he's getting held back because he can't get on the field. In New England, is he going to get held back because he's on the field, but no one seems to be aware of it?
Yeah, that's a big one also, because, I mean, with New England, I think you have a better chance to get those goals, right? Whereas Miami, I think he was he's probably like 4th or 5th on the depth chart, and was just one of those, okay, yeah, we can use him, bring him in type players, where you are right. He does need consistent minutes if he does want to get back to Europe. I feel like New England is the best place because the likes of Tajon Buchanan are well gone. The likes of who else was a
so Esmir Baraktarovic.
thank you.
Was, he went over to PSV, and he's an extremely talented player, but Porter had to play him a lot more than he had planned because he had so many injuries.
Yeah.
So he played quite a bit last year, but it was only because Barreiro was useless. Troncolai was hurt. He didn't trust any of the other younger guys. He didn't really trust Boateng. So it's just like, he got out there quite a bit, got an opportunity to play and looked pretty good, even on a struggling team. Other teams were able to see his talent, right? Like, I mean, his talent on the ball was just, was really incredible for his age. So it's just kind of a matter of time before he got his move. But Campani is 24. So he's in that age where if you're going to get back over there, you've got to have a big year now. Like this is the year for you, because once you get to the other side of 25, doesn't mean you can't play in Europe, but teams start to look at, if we buy him now, is there going to be a sell on? Like PSV gets Baraktarovic for, at most $6 million. If he comes in and has 2 or 3 good seasons, he's going to move on to Germany for 2, 3, maybe even 4 times that money, because he'd still only be 23 years old. Campania, it's kind of like he needs to have a good season this year, and the Revs need him to have a good season. So that, I think, is that coming together is what is going to make this work, or make it not work. What'll be interesting is if Campania doesn't feel like he's getting the service that he should get, what type of locker room presence does he turn into there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. Does he get frustrated?
For the intra-league, trade now that you could do.
Yeah, someone else could just plop down some actual real money and take them off their hands. So it's interesting. They brought in 14 new players, and Campania is really the only one that you can say, this guy should be a hit. The other 13, there's kind of question marks all around.
And don't
we got Will
Porter
Sands for 2 years, by the way. Thanks. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
2-year contract. Will Sands.
DeJuan Jones is working out great for us.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good for him. Yeah, good for DeJuan Jones.
Don't expect Porter to call up any of the Revs 2 players, because that's one thing that we saw here in Columbus, is that he doesn't really like to play those young players. He wants that more veteran, grizzly, battle-tested players that when you're going up against, young players, it's like those, forgive me for saying this, but those old farts are not quick enough.
No, he likes to get like these, these like warrior poet guys that are, like they're out for blood. It's like,
do any of them have tattoos on their necks?
Well, he brought Luis Diaz back. Now you remember Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz had one halfway decent season in 2022 with Caleb Porter. Since then, he went to the Costa Rican Premier League, where he thundered in 4 goals in 48 games. So clearly, this is we've got to get this guy back in MLS. He's tearing up. He's scoring 1 goal in every 12 games in the Costa Rican Premier League.
It's like Caleb Porter trying to get back the 2020 Columbus Crew team.
He's getting the band back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have Nagby, though. That's I think that's, if Nagby decides he wants to go to New England, and watch out. I think that's the linchpin for him.
If Nagby decides to go to New England,
it would never happen, but I'm just mean
oh, I know. That would be the worst career move ever.
Yeah,
no offense, Thomas. No offense.
Oh no. None taken. We've been wearing shirts of other teams in New England on our podcast lately. We're doing like a raising awareness campaign to let people know that there are other options to watch professional soccer live in the New England area.
You guys are getting an NWSL team too, so
yeah. Little rough name though. So they gotta fix the name.
What's the name?
Oh, you don't? Oh, God.
No,
The
I haven't
name
paid
of-
attention to the new ones, like the new announced ones yet.
Yeah. All right. So the name of the team is Boss Nation.
I did hear about that.
Wait,
I did hear
what?
that.
You thought it was
Yeah.
a joke, didn't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
BOS Nation.
Nation.
Boss.
BOS Nation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the first 3 letters of Boston.
Yeah. Which
Who's
no
the
one,
ownership group?
no,
Crack.
a group of women from the Boston area.
Okay.
Now they hired a consulting group, if you can believe
Of
it.
course.
The
Yeah.
consulting group came in and said, "Hey, we've got a fresh new take here. I understand that Boston has been around for centuries and has never been referred to as boss ever, from Paul Revere to to Marty Walsh. No one has ever said this before, but we're going to make it happen, right? Sure. Right now, it's the shorthand for Logan Airport, but which no one calls it boss, by the way. They just call it Logan, right? But we're going to change all that. Boss Nation. That is the name.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
wild. Honestly,
what we're
that
dealing
does
with
not
up
sound
here.
real. Like that. That legitimately does not sound like a real name for a team, any kind of team, in any.
Only-
EA,
Only in New England.
EAFC created team.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
What is one tip or trick that fans traveling to the New England area should know?
Don't fly.
Drive.
I'm serious. Have you seen what is happening at airports in this country?
Hey,
you see the one the other
Southwest
the one the
almost
other day?
crashed.
The plane's coming down and another one's coming across the runway and they're
Yeah.
on the radio. Don't cross the runway. Do not cross the runway. Nah. It's insane. Pilots of airplanes are now starting to drive like people in Massachusetts. Don't go anywhere near an airport. Do not fly. Trust me. I think at this point,
Literally in
Going
a
to
week,
Columbus.
I'm flying, and I'm not I'm terrified.
don't do it. We're going to. So my wife and I, we're going to Columbus in June, and we're going to drive the whole way.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I don't even want to drive by an airport anymore. It's
Man.
I mean, you'll have to
Well,
drive
Columbus
by,
Airport is
Port
under a lot
Columbus
of
to get there.
construction, So
how's it drive by what? Fort Douglas.
You'll have to drive by. Yeah.
We're coming from Cleveland. We're going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then we're gonna
Okay.
that'd be cool.
we're gonna burn down that stadium that took a game away from you, so y'all get it back, and then we're gonna come to Columbus.
Solid.
Hey,
That
just
sounds
let me
like a
know
great
where I
plan.
need to drop the kerosene tank off.
I don't know. It's
So-
all taken care of. Duan's paying for it, so
Dewan's paying for it. Thomas,
I'll
last
have the
thing
s'mores ready.
before we get you out of here, projected scoreline.
All right. The Revs are going to score first. Okay, that'll get the crowd into it. The Fort will get really fired up, and then you all will just keep doing your thing. You'll tie it up before halftime. Porter will go into an over-defensive shell. You'll score in the 65th minute. He won't react. No subs, no reaction. It's okay, no problem. Then you'll score another one in the 85th minute and win 3-1. And that wouldn't be bad. That would be like, we'll get questions like, "Hey, that was all right. It was only, we only lost by 2."
Got a goal, but you know what happened? Why did they score 3?
Yeah, 3-1.
Oh man. Derik, Jerald, anything else before we get Thomas out of here? Jerald is cracking up right now because
That's all we can do.
You just like brought back so many flashbacks of like parking the bus, not using all the subs, like all the things. Like it's all
one. He made one sub.
wait
It's
against
crazy.
Nashville.
Yeah, one.
One sub against
He brought
Nashville.
Luis Diaz on.
Of course, it's Luis Diaz.
We signed a
my
player.
God.
We signed Max Urruti. Transfermarket.com thought he'd retired. I went on to look him up. Who is this guy? Transfermarket. Retired. left club, retired from professional soccer. Sign him up.
Porter convinced him to come back out of retirement. He had a good sales pitch for him.
Oh my!
You've given the
God.
option, right? Stay retired. Come play for Caleb Porter.
My God! Transfer market thought
You wanna
Maximilian
play with
Urruti
little fans?
retired.
For the
Yeah.
3 games that he's going to be healthy this year, you
Yeah,
need to come play with us.
God, that's incredible.
That is funny.
Absolutely incredible.
Anything else
in
for
the beer league?
Yeah, at least that's fun, right?
anything else for Thomas, guys?
It was a pleasure to meet you, Thomas.
I'm in no rush. I'd be here all night.
That is funny.
Thomas, I'm gonna have to send you some audio files from how Porter explains things.
Oh God, it's really so bad. Like the cliches and like he called Y Scout like grandma's cookbook. Yeah. Y Scout, it's like that's where they all do that's where they do all their scouting. It's like a video scouting service. He called it grandma's cookbook. And like no one, like there are people in these press conferences and like they have to keep a straight face. Like guys that work for the Blazing Musket, I'm like, I say it all the time. I'm like, how do you go in there, listen to this man talk, and not laugh, or get up and walk out of the room? Like because they have to be like, oh no, that's a reasonable answer, right? Like oh my God.
I bet as soon as I walk out, they're like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah. Oh, it's torture. It really is.
You know it's gonna be a reunion if it gets Derik Etienne.
Oh. Who's he playing? He's playing for I forget who.
Toronto.
Toronto.
Okay. Well,
Who?
Toronto.
Derik Etienne Jr.
Oh yeah. Toronto.
Him and Luis were, pretty good combo.
Thomas, it's been good, man, talking with you.
Yeah. Hey.
Hilarious as always.
That's what I can do,
Go ahead.
A little info, but hey, look.
Oh my God.
I watch almost every single Columbus game. So if 2 of you are out and if you don't want to talk to yourselves, I'm available.
I love that. Yeah, heck yeah.
Go ahead and shout out where people can find you at.
I'm still on Twitter. I don't know why, but I'm still there. CJP343. Same thing on Blue Sky. But mostly you can find me on the Blazing Musket, theblazingmusket.com. We cover all soccer in New England. We've got 3 other professional teams that are, they're kind of moving along and doing some really, really good stuff. But yeah, so blazingmusket.com, TJP343 on Blue Sky and Twitter. But yeah, look, after Saturday, just if you could take your foot off the gas a little bit once you're up 3-1, really appreciate it. But yeah, look, get DeJuan Jones some minutes, please. We'd really like to see him out on the field. I can't wear his jersey anymore because it has United Healthcare on the front, and I don't want to get assassinated in public. So I'll probably try and pick up a Columbus Crew one when we get out there in June.
I just clocked what you said.
Yeah, I'm serious. They changed the shirt sponsor to Gillette.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the 12 people that don't see Gillette when they walk in the stadium. It's like, oh, it's on the shirt now. Oh, great.
Yeah. Fitting. Very,
after
very
the assassination.
Very fitting. Thomas, it's been fun, man. This is always a great time having you on.
Yeah,
and,
guys,
definitely.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll love to come on again.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Hey, when you
Jerald,
come to Columbus, Thomas, and give us a shout. One of us will, meet up with you in the stadium somewhere.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Yeah. Gonna try and get DeJuan to autograph my jersey, and yeah, it should be a good time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to get down there. It's a great stadium, great atmosphere, best coach in Major League Soccer. Can't go wrong.
You already know where you're sitting?
No, I haven't bought tickets yet.
The season just started, Jerald.
Hey.
Believe me, yeah, but I've been waiting. I was like, when a single game ticket start sale. Yeah, I've been waiting. I've been playing this all year. Yeah. But yeah, guys, all honesty, I really appreciate you having me on. And
Yeah.
don't have too much fun on Saturday. And I'll see y'all later on this year.
We got to have a
Definitely, man.
hat trick.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thomas, it's been great talking to you, man. We'll definitely keep it. Oh, okay. Thomas, you got this. We'll definitely keep in touch.
Actually, perfect.
Dude, Thomas is a character.
Love
he
it.
is so funny.
We had
probably
him
one
last
of the
year. We had him on last year, and it was like trying not to laugh as much as I, just did. But it was just hilarious.
Thomas is a character.
And it was his first year of going through the Porter experience, so he was probably just real time experiencing everything.
Oh yeah. Really quick before we move on to our little preview of New England. Back to
and we lost him.
What just happened?
So excited about CONCACAF, the Champions Cup.
That was all you.
What in the world? All I did was I bumped my cable here and it just cut out on me.
The excitement of playing.
Oh my god!
LAFC again.
By the way, I don't know if you guys saw me. I was looking around. It's thundering right now.
I heard that too. It was pretty loud.
And then my lights flickered.
Ooh.
So I took my headset. I was like looking around. My lights flickered. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I see.
So, I mean, Jesus. We talked about the pass encounters of LAFC. I was talking to an LAFC guy. He said that Columbus are favorites for getting past LAFC in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Olivier Giroud is probably the worst signing in MLS history still to this day. So how can we exploit LAFC's weaknesses, which would be essentially their defense?
I think just do what we are good at, but I think that Nancy will come up with something unique or like a slight wrinkle. I don't know what that is, like from an X's and O's perspective, and but I think with what we have, I actually could see some scenario where he changes the lineup where we don't see like Diego will probably play, I would imagine. Although, of course, with it being a congested schedule, sort of, we are already looking at potentials of maybe some of those guys resting. I doubt someone like Diego would, but possible. But maybe like Russell Rowe doesn't start and someone else does. And, AZ gets to start, something like that, where I could see him throwing a wrinkle in it where they're not prepared for it. Maybe add a little speed to it. But, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think if we can come out with a draw, I'd be happy with that.
As long as we get at least a away goal, I'm fine.
That would be, that would be the most preferred for sure.
Jerald?
So, if you look at the last three meetings, Columbus frustrated LAFC on the attack, on the defense, on defending. Columbus frustrated the hell out of LAFC. Mainly, you take Bowanga out and you frustrate him to where he now wants to just take over the whole game and says, screw everybody else.
Hero ball.
That's how you beat LAFC. When you start getting everybody frustrated, no matter what Steve Cherundolo does tactically, the technical side will be so, everybody will be so frustrated because of what Nancy's doing on the field. that regardless of the tactical, lineups or everything that not Steve Trundle is doing won't matter. And something that Nancy likes to do, Nancy likes to be passively aggressive. And that's why you see the buildup for Columbus be so successful is because they're so passive, but at a drop of a dime or a quarter, like I just did, they become aggressive. And we sort of saw that against Chicago there from the 70th minute on when Columbus had Chicago pinned in their final third. And it looked like a pack of sharks that smelt blood in the water because that ball was pinballing around in that box. And it was like, okay, when's it going to go past Chris Brady? Yeah. Because they flipped a switch after that fourth goal by Columbus. They flipped a switch and they smelt blood in the water. And they just pinned Chicago back. For a whole, it was like, I think for almost 3 minutes, it was like all pinned right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how you frustrate LAFC is stuff like that to where, you draw them in, and all of a sudden at a snap of fingers, now you're behind them. They're being passive aggressive. And regardless of who LAFC has, with the Bobasi and, even Jerald and Bwanga, they still got a couple hotheads on that back line. That one that, picked a fight with Marino last year and, got ejected, got the red card and, had to miss out on a key game that they were on the road to, I think, Minnesota or no, they had the game against Galaxy that he was suspended for. So, I mean, that's how you beat Chicago is you get them frustrated to where they're in their own head. And you got the game on.
Oh, wow. Moving on to our side of things for Saturday. Just kind of around the horn, what is one key to the game for us to pull out 3 points against the New England Revolution?
Press hard and press often.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, just don't let your foot off the gas. If you get, whether it's 1 goal or 2 goals, whatever, just keep doing exactly what you're doing.
I think for me, we need a little bit more, what's the term Willie uses for ODU? Be a little bit more cerebral when playing out of the back, essentially, and defending, right? Because, I mean, we saw it Saturday. Jonathan Bamba was getting in those pockets of spaces and essentially just being a threat to our right wing side. Got 2 assists. I think another thing is how can we limit Campana from getting a goal or 2 or 3 possibly. So it's to be a little bit more cerebral defensively, and I would say just know when to attack, because putting Steven and Yevon up in the not Yevon Amundsen up in the attack kind of hurt us a bit against Chicago. So just knowing when our 2 outside backs have to join the attack, which I think will be often in this match, and just knowing like, all right, can I push the limit and dribble to the 18-yard box and take a shot, or can I take a couple touches and start swinging it around and kind of draw back a little bit in case there is a quick counterattack from New England?
So there's a difference between training form and game form. And we've seen in training that everything that they were doing looked flawless, right?
Well, yeah, because they're against each other.
Exactly. So now you see it for the first game, right? It hurt us a little bit, but like those tactical changes though of having, when Marrero goes forward, somebody needs to drop back. Just getting that timing down of if this person goes forward, who's the one that's going to need to drop back? Is it going to be, Max having to drop back if Yevon or Amundsen goes forward? Or does Nagby need to drop, or does Sean need to drop? You know what I'm saying? It's just all getting that timing down. Now you've got one game under your belt. Now you're starting to get into game shape, right? You're starting to get into that game form. So look for more of what we saw of the crew going forward a little more from the back line. Especially since some of the injuries, they're coming back. Taha will be back. Who else was out?
Lapalainen.
Yeah, now Lassie's going to be back. Don't know how many minutes that he's going to get, but maybe that's something that we see that he starts to get into that game shape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this would honestly, not really shitting on the Revs, but I am. But this would be a game that you would start Lassie.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Yeah, you can afford to do it, especially if you want to get people some rest for the LA game, which I hope that they view very, very serious. Not that I think that they wouldn't, but I mean, just like after what happened last year, I really hope they go like all out, plan around maybe that in particular, that tournament.
I'll take Champions Cup over Leagues Cup.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I could not agree more. I was thinking about that earlier. Like, I would always take MLS Cup. I think I would take CONCACAF Champions Cup over the Shield, which may be sacrilegious to some people, but I don't care.
I'm not laughing at you. What you said,
Tyler is having a.
I'm dying over here. Jesus Christ.
Tyler's getting beat up by his head. I'm sorry, Ty. But I mean, you touched on it, How many people do you rest this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not really, trying to take away too much from New England, but until Porter could get his head out of his ass and actually show like they could be competitive. Don't get me wrong, they've shocked teams.
Yeah.
They've shocked some teams, but I just think all around Columbus is a little bit more complete than New England. And then, you have LAFC and just what? Sunday, Monday, 3-day time span.
Yeah.
It's just like.
It's crazy. I didn't realize that was the like turnaround until earlier today. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And it's just kind of hard to, who you're playing. You've had success in the last 3 matches against them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go into your weekend match? You know what I'm saying? Not trying to overlook New England, because that's how you can lose, is if you overlook New England. Looking forward to LAFC.
I guess too, like, I don't know. I was never a soccer player, and I don't know to what extent, like we said, a lot of the preseason stuff, we don't get to see anything. We just hear from like occasionally beat, reporters in the Dispatch or something like that, where you hear like maybe what happened. But It's our second game of this season. So like, of course, I think naturally we're all like, we should rest some guys because the turnaround is so short. But at the same time, part of me is like, it is the beginning of the season. Like the guys that are fit and in shape, is it that crazy? I've never been a soccer player, so I do not know what that, It's hard
I
for
mean,
me to
it's
go to run it 3 days in a row at the gym without my legs feeling like they're gonna fall off. So like, they're in a much better, athletic shape than we can imagine. I'm sure.
well, they're in better shape than I am. I sort of look like two 20-inch, Michelin Goodyear tires. Um, but it's kind of hard, to not have that doubt of who's going to overlook. You know what I'm saying? That doubt, but it's like in any other sports, you see that you got a shitty team, but you got like a rival the following week. So it's
Mhm.
like you're like, okay, at what point during New England do Columbus turn their attention to LAFC? Do they start to work on things, going into LAFC that they could put on on the field as they're completing the game for New England?
I could see it being a game where Nancy uses all the subs and gets in a bunch of guys that maybe in his mind would be playing in LA. So he's like, let's get them some time here now, see what they can do. And then maybe, depending on how they play there, changes that game plan. Because it does afford you the ability to rest people if you really want to. But at the same time, if you throw a bunch of different guys out there, even from a tactical standpoint, LAFC may come back and be like, oh, we didn't account for whoever playing way more than we thought that they were going to. And no, I don't think this early in the season that I would be shocked if we fell victim to a trap game this early in the season with Nancy of all people at the helm.
I'm alive. I promise.
Damn
I
it,
have
the
a
pizza
I have
man
a
didn't get there
lingering
first.
cough is absolutely just killing me right now. Jesus Christ. I apologize, boys, for doing that. Oh my god. Jesus.
Whew.
I would assume you guys are still talking New England, Columbus, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
waited back to see if you were still breathing or not before we
Oh
moved
yeah,
on.
I'm cool. Just
We
Kinda lost-
needed to know.
kind of out of breath from coughing so much, but yeah, I'm good.
Damn it, Derek! I told you the pizza man would have got there before the squad, but shit, he's still alive.
Jesus Christ. One thing we forgot to do. But anything else before we close out?
We're doing our predictions now or after?
Yeah. I mean, do we really want to go through all the games on Saturday? Or just crew.
We could do just crew this week.
Yeah, just crew.
We'll carve out time for the other games.
Yeah.
We'll make
Sometime.
it a point.
Yeah.
I need my parlays back.
You can make your parlays on your own.
We want to crowdsource.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We want everyone to feel like they're a winner. or
Jesus.
or loser, but
I was a winner last night for Mavericks Lakers, just saying. So
Oh, there you go.
All
right.
So crew New England. See, turf sucks, man.
Ugh.
About that. I'm gonna go 3-0 Columbus.
Derek?
See, I was gonna go 2-0, but now I don't know why. Now I'm convinced myself that it could be like a 2-1. I wouldn't. That would not seem on paper like a great effort, in my opinion, from our team. But at the same time, A win's a win beginning of the season. I don't really care how we get it as long as we get it. And, with turf, it's an away game, beginning of the season. I say 2-1.
4-1.
This guy wants outrageous score lines every game, pretty much.
I love that. I love the ambition on that. I'm trying to be way too cautious, I think.
I think we see either 2 braces or we see a hat trick and a solo goal. But I really think it's 4-1. Because when you have Campana, the man, somehow finds a way to score at least 1 against Columbus.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking on my one, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 4-1.
I mean, we were close to a hat trick last week. I mean, from Rossi, but also, I mean, if that the second Jason Russell Rowan would have counted, we would have been close.
Well, that wasn't Jason. That was AZ.
He scored that? Right. Jason didn't score the second one, though, right?
No, so Jason was taken out. AZ came in. AZ scored the 5th goal, but was waved off due to Sean Zawadzki being offside.
You were totally right.
So,
I had that all goofed up. I forgot about that series. Yes.
And I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out there and say Jason gets his first hat trick with MLS
this week. I love that.
You know what we forgot to do last week? We'll probably speed run through this. Yellow card, red card. Derik, remember what that is?
Yes.
All right, Jerald, you know what that is.
Unfortunately.
Who wants to start? Or should I start?
You start.
What card
is that cough?
Yep, that's exactly it. And that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. We're good. Thank you, Jerald.
I'll go. Mine are actually both crew related because I just thought about these before we started. Yellow card is the all the complaining that everybody did about signing someone before the season. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people really vocal online about how, like, when are we going to sign someone? No matter what, anything that the crew announcers in any platform, somebody under it was like complaining about this isn't a new signing, yada, yada, yada. For now, we won the first game. And so we should just be happy with it. Like, of course, a few weeks from now, if all of a sudden it's taken a pretty dramatic turn, yellow card waved, let's all complain. Like, we can do that, certainly. But, like, for now, let's all just be happy. We're back. We're winning. Everybody just try to remain positive for a little bit of time. Red card, anybody complaining still about the Carabiner Sea, like, it's over. It's been going on for, we've had the logo for a while now. We've won a championship with it. They're doing the Goosebump logo with the sea. Like, you can still go buy merch at the merch store if you want to use the original logo. That's totally fine too. But, like, it's not going away. And I still see it on, like, Reddit and stuff of people being like, I refuse to buy new stuff. And that's great, but you don't have to proclaim it anymore because we're over it. We don't want to hear about it anymore. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it, but just don't talk about it. Because I don't want to sound preachy. That sounds bad. I love all of you, but, like, just please simmer down and don't talk about it anymore.
Agreed. A freaking men, Derik. Amen. Man. You said what I couldn't say. Jerald.
I'm gonna have to say my yellow card goes to my back. I'm still having back issues. Unfortunately, walking to the locker room after the game to do post game with players, I felt a pop in my leg, as I was walking. So, yeah, it was a pain in the ass to drive home, and I hit a bump and landed on the right side of my ass cheek on my wallet in the seat, and it shot so much pain through, my back and my legs that I almost wrecked.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to actually call off work the next day because I could hardly walk. So I'm gonna give that a yellow card. It's something that I deal with. And I know my fiance is probably watching, so she's gonna get mad at me because I didn't tell her I almost wrecked. But anyways, that's my yellow card. My red card, I actually don't have one this week. You all good over there, buddy?
I have an eyelash in my eye.
Ty is going through it.
I am
20 minutes.
just going through the motions right now. Jesus
Dang.
Christ.
First he can't breathe. Now he can't see. I mean, the next thing you know, he's gonna say, "Can y'all hear me? I can't hear y'all. Can y'all hear me?"
Yeah,
I'm gonna have myself muted at one point in time and like start talking. I can't hear you. Shit. Final thoughts. I did see that Nazi said Taha and Lapalainen are going through, I think, normal training or starting to get to that point of normal training. Camacho's still out probably throughout this match against New England, possibly LAFC next Tuesday. So guess we'll see on that.
To touch on what you didn't know about Amundsen's injury at the end of the year, it was an abdicator muscle that he
I knew that.
Well, you said you didn't know what his injury was.
I didn't remember him getting injured.
Yeah,
and then
it was like right before the playoffs.
Yeah, and then it was like, and then I think he told me it was like the Red Bull away final of the MLS or not playoffs, but the season finale. Yeah, that match.
Yep.
Any closing remarks before we shout out our socials?
Can't wait to beat New England, on their turf, and then go out and silence LAFC again.
That will be fun. What time is that game?
I would assume it'd probably be about 10:30.
It's TBD right now is the time on it, but
yeah,
I don't know that when they are here in town, it's I think 8:30 when they come in on the.
It'd be 8, I think.
It's either 8 or 8:30 is what I saw on the graphic.
I think it's 8 because a lot of games start at 8, and then the later games start at like 10:30.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
thank God I don't work on Wednesdays.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
I have to clear my morning schedule out on Wednesday, so when I come in, I don't have to be the most alert right away.
Yeah. So other than that, thank y'all for tuning in. I apologize for the constant coughing. Be sure to check us out on social media, on Instagram, the Wiseman Say Podcast, YouTube, the Wiseman Say Podcast, on Twitter at Wiseman Pod. You guys can also listen to us wherever you guys get podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, Pocket Cast, the whatever the last one is, can't remember.
Overcast.
Thank you. You guys can also watch us here on YouTube, Spotify, and Goals TV. You guys can follow me on Twitter at FisherTyler __. You guys can follow Jerald.
Jerald _Lucas96.
And you guys can follow Derik
at Funky Moses 17. And like and subscribe to this video too. Our channel. Yes. Get us there, people.
23 subscribers away from 100. And who knows? We might do a special giveaway for 100 subscribers.
I love
Merchandise. Wiseman say merchandise
that.
giveaway.
Yeah, now we're talking. Yes, I love that.
we might do that. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, like the live stream, turn on post notifications whenever we go live, whenever we post new content, etc. Join the conversation. We're always open to seeing you guys comment and interacting with you guys here on the live stream. Full episode, if you guys missed it, will be available Friday about 3 p.m. We will also post the New England Revolution preview with Thomas separately. That will go out Saturday morning at 11 a.m. If you guys have watched from beginning to end on YouTube, appreciate you guys. If you guys have listened on your favorite podcast from beginning to end, again, thank you so much. And yeah, other than that, it's been fun.
Thank you to all the fans. This was a dream of ours, me and Tyler's, 2 years ago. He had it before me, and we revived it 2 years ago, and to see it grow to what it is now, a third host, more viewers, more interaction. We just thank you guys, the fans. We bring this content for you, you the fan, to get a different perspective than what you might see in the stadium or see on TV or hear on social. You're getting firsthand accounts of a lot of things. So without you guys, the fans, we wouldn't be here. We'd be either playing video games or tucking kids into bed, or just doing puzzles. We wouldn't be here right now without you guys, the fans.
Amen.
Been fun. Catch us next Wednesday, recapping the LAFC CONCACAF Champions Cup match. Also recapping New England from this past Saturday. Taking a look ahead to, was that Houston?
Yeah.
Houston. Here at home. Steve Clark's no longer with them.
Yeah.
I
He's
know.
not on the team, I don't think.
Yeah, which is weird.
We need another goalie.
So appreciate y'all. Right. So appreciate y'all. Been fun. And yeah, other than that, Jerald, my friend, as tradition goes, wise men say,
only fools rush in.
Peace out, everybody. Have a good week. Have a good day at work tomorrow. Stay safe, stay hydrated, stay cool. Hug your loved ones. Go Crew.
Stay wise, y'all.